Everyone, and welcome to another installment of Enochian Vision Magic. I hope you had a good weekend. It is windy and cold. I took a walk this morning and I nearly froze my fingers off. But there's snow on the mountains, and the snow is so low that it makes the mountains just a little north of where I live here in Southern California. It makes them look like the Himalayas. It looks so cool out there. But anyway, we are continuing on the discussion of the Great Table. The Great Table meets the Golden Talisman, chapter 23. And we've discussed all the way down. This is from the Golden Talisman. We discussed all of these folks right here, and how they determine the hierarchy of the angels of the elemental tablets. And now we're getting all the way down here to the 16 dispositors. So that's what we're going to discuss. Now, like in any magical hierarchy, it goes like this. In Kabbalistic magic, archangels are really, really easy to evoke and invoke. Archangels are huge. And I'm talking about the four great archangels. You split the universe up into four broad categories. And the executors of each of those grand sections of consciousness we could call archangels. So it's really easy to call up an archangel because all you have to do is turn in the direction that's attributed to the archangel, and everything in front of your nose is the archangel. So in other words, Raphael, Gabriel, Michael, and Uriel, fire, water, air, and earth, not in quite that order, but when you face east, like in a pentagram ritual, when you go, before me, Raphael, as you face east, well, it's really, Raphael's already there. He's so big. He's universal. Everything from the north on your left to the south on your right is Raphael land. So they're really easy. But that's where you start. It's like going to the general that runs the entire army fort. You can't just go into the army fort and ask to talk to a private. You have to talk to the general to get permission to come into the fort first, and then you got to talk to. Then the general says, "Yeah, talk to Colonel so and so," and then you have to go to the colonel, which would be like the angel. Okay, and the colonel says, "Yeah, I think you could talk to that private." And get that private to do work for you, but you got to talk to Sergeant so and so who runs that private. And so you get permission from the colonel to talk to the sergeant. And then you go to the sergeant and say, "I need to talk to Private Dorkael to do some work for me." And he says, "Oh, okay, he's working for his corporal at the moment, digging latrines. You'll have to talk to the corporal and then tell him that I said it was okay." Then you talk to the corporal and says, "Corporal so-and-so, EL, I'd like you to, I've got permission from the general and the colonel and the sergeant, and now I need to, I have permission to talk to Dorkiel." And he said, "Okay, Dorkiel, come here." So the point I'm trying to make is, the bigger the angelic intelligence, the easier it is to connect with. And the more specific the angelic intelligence is, the bigger the pain in the ass for you to get to. because you have to systematically connect with all the intermediate frequencies of consciousness in order to get yourself there. So, if I haven't confused you enough on that, the idea of coming down this hierarchy, now we're getting right down to the dispositors. And even though it was easy to just give a whirl and go, Edel Perina, you got the big king of the whole entire thing. It was just easy to do. One little swip of your Enochian magic wand. But to get to these guys, they do very specific things and represent very specific levels of consciousness. It takes a little getting. It takes a little, it's a pain in the ass is what it is. But now we're down to the 16, what is called 16 white creatures or dispositors. Next in procession in Kelley's vision, the next in the hierarchy of elemental tablets, are the 16 white creatures. That's what they were called originally. On the golden talisman diagram, they're represented as the 16 small, there we go, the 16 small columns standing side by side at the extremity of each rectangular cloth. And they're labeled 16 dispositors. Among modern magicians, there are several schools of thought concerning the identity of the 16 dispositors. The simplest, and in my opinion the most correct theory, holds they are made up of the 4 angels who reside beneath the arms of the Calvary cross of each of the 4 subangles of the elemental tablet. Okay, there is a subangle. This is Earth of Air. Subangle. Earth of Air would be like the Princess of Swords. So do you see the white Calvary cross? And then there, above the arms of the cross, is a big angel right where my finger is, right up there. That's a cherub. He'd be like the sergeant, the sergeant of this level. And then beneath the arms of the cross, where it says, looks like A, B, A, M, O, and N, O, O, C, O, and O, C, A, N, M. Okay, those 4 would be the privates. Okay, and they each have their own little unique elemental mix of rulership, okay? But they're all under the guidance of that sergeant up at the top there, that cherub. So there's 4 of these servitors per elemental tablet. So that means 4 times 4 is 16. Those are the 16 dispositors. Okay, the theory holds they are made up of the 4 angels who reside beneath the arms of the Calvary cross of each of the 4 subangles of the elemental tablet. Referred to as good angels or servient angels, they are invoked and commanded by the God names of their Calvary cross. That's the vertical and the horizontal line of the Calvary cross. That's like the mini God name of the subangle. And have powers and knowledge that can be of great practical use to the magician. Okay. The names of the servient or good angels can be spelled with 4 letters if you admit the central letter from the vertical bar of the cross, Calvary cross, or with 5 letters if you include the letter of the cross. In our examples, the names are ADRE or ADIRE. R-E, S-I-S-P or S-I-O-S-P, P-A-L-A or P-A-N-L-A-I, excuse me, and A-C-A-R or A-C-R-A-R. Okay, and I've put these images up on my page of the different subangles. This is a logical and very workable way of looking at the angelic hierarchy of the elemental tablet, and conforms nicely to the vision of the golden talisman and to the way Dee composed his prayers to conjure these good angels. This theory does, however, leave out in the cold the 4 letters above the arms of the Calvary cross. Now, I mentioned and talked about them as carobs, but in the original Dee and Kelley material, we're hard-pressed to get much information about these the carobs. To address this issue, we must bring up the several schools of thought concerning carobs. The Kerubic angels. In Christian iconography, every well-appointed crucifix bears a rectangular piece of wood nailed above the head of Christ, displaying the 4 letters I-N-R-I. So too, above the arms of the Calvary cross of every subangle, we find 4 letters that spell the names of the cherub of the subangle. Okay, just to... Okay, this would be the Knight of Wands, which would be the Fire of Fire subangle. Okay. Now, I hope you can see the Calvary cross. The vertical line is Risenor, and the horizontal line is NRZFM. But above the arms of the cross, we have ZIRZA. Ziza or Zirza. Okay, the Golden Dawn dubbed these angels carobs. Now, if you're paying attention, you might want to point out that there are only 4 subangles and only 4 Calvary crosses, 1 each for the elemental tablet. And therefore there should be only 4 cherub dispositors, not 16 per tablet. Of course, your observation would be accurate if we restrict ourselves to spelling their names in straightforward and orderly manner. But according to this theory, there are actually 4 cherubs hidden inside the 4 letters above the arms of every Calvary cross. These 16 cherubs are actually the 16 dispositors. Let's use the fire or the lower right subangle of the elemental tablet. There would be that one right there. That's on one of my foam board things. Now, in order to truly follow along with this, you'll probably want to refer to the images that I posted that should appear directly below this this video. Let's use the fire subangle of the fire elemental tablet and the cherub Ziza, Z-I-Z-A, as our example. The subangles, 4 cherubs, okay, 4 cherubs per subangle. This is how it's done. This subangle's 4 cherubs are created from a simple permutation of the 4 letters above the arms of the Calvary cross. Simply slide the letters to the left each time replacing the displaced letter to the back of the line. Ziza, Izaz, Zazi, and Aziz. So in that just one subangle, if you shuffle those letters, you can shuffle them in 4 different ways. This dynamic perpetual motion of letters doesn't stop with the cherub. For each letter of the cherub's name, or the sergeant's name, can also rule a column and row of the 16 letters of the servants' angels residing beneath the arms of the Calvary cross. In our example, the first Z of the cherub's name rules a column directly beneath it and the arms of the cross ASPA. The Z also rules the bottom row of the subangle ACR. And the images I posted should show that quite clearly. Figure 81 shows how all the other letters of the cherub's names rule the subservient angels of the subangle. And that would be figure 81, which I posted directly below this. Believe me, once it clicks how it works, you'll kick yourself in the butt for thinking it was more complex than it is. According to this theory, in order to open a subangle to summon or contact a servient angel, the magician must first invoke the 2 God names of the Calvary cross of the subangle in question, then invoke the cherub, then invoke the servient angel of choice. This is a logical and workable system, but one that does not appear to have been on Dee and Kelley's menu. In fact, the original material suggests that the cherub is a unique citizen of the subangle, one who is not under the rulership of the Calvary cross, but under a God, whose name begins with the sacred letter drawn from the black cross, or the great central cross of the great table. Now, neither Dee or Kelley nor the modern magicians of the Golden Dawn ever use the term super cherub. But did that stop me? Thank you. There is, however, a variety of Kerubic angel who seems to embody that title. Like the variety of carobs we've just discussed, the name of the super carobs are drawn from the letters above the arms of the Calvary cross of the subangles of the Great Tablet. But instead of answering to the 2 Calvary cross God names of the subangle, the super carobs answer to a higher authority, a supercharged angel who is linked to the black cross of the unreformed Great Tablet. This angel was the subject of much discussion in the original Dee and Kelley material. For its existence and pausers are central to the understanding of the wicked angels. In order for us to understand the nature of the super cherub and the wicked angels, we'll need to take a closer look at the black cross. And that's what we'll do starting Tuesday morning, tomorrow, chapter 24, the black cross, super cherubs, wicked angels, missing symmetrical characters, and the tablet of union. I know that was probably pretty complicated today, but I think we waded our way through it okay. A question, a very good question, always arises, that why on earth would, even if I had the key and the magical calls and everything else, why would I want to even talk to a C A R? Why would I want to do that? Okay. Now, if we're looking at things in terms of elements, this guy is down here. A C A R. He's down right down there. A C A R. Okay, and if we look right there, we see that those four, the two pyramids on either side of that 10, those are those four letters. Notice that they're green. So that is predominantly earth, but he's in the fire of fire subangle. What could mostly fire, but a little dash of earth, what could that possibly mean to me in a practical or even spiritual context? And the answer is, look at everything as a metaphor. A little tiny bit of earth in an otherwise predominantly fire environment, what would that be? What would the metaphor of that be in chemistry? Mostly fire would be like nitrogen. Tons of nitrogen, but just a dash of carbon for Earth. What does that bonding do? Well, look up most of life itself on planet Earth, and it's that bonding, and pretty much that proportion. So what is that a metaphor for you spiritually? What is that a metaphor for you emotionally? What is that a metaphor for you in life? How would that describe other metaphors? What kind of pet would that be for you? Or what kind of food would that be for you? Or what kind of emotion would that be? All of those metaphors come under the rulership of this particular angel. And that particular angel knows everything about that very specific mix of metaphors. Just like the sergeant you would go, or the private you would go to at the fort, knows everything about the specific job that you want him to do for you, or that he has the specific information you need to know. He doesn't know anything about anything else, but he knows everything about that. That's the challenge for the magician, working with the Enochian system, or indeed working with any hierarchical, spiritual, magical technique or system. So, hope that gives you something to think about. Until tomorrow, when we get together, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.